Collingwood fans have been out celebrating after the team's triumph in yesterday's AFL Grand Final replay. The Magpies dominated the game at the MCG, beating St Kilda by 56 points. Elated fans took to the streets after the game. It's Collingwood's first Grand Final victory since 1990.
St Kilda coach Ross Lyon says his side needs to look at building on Collingwood's winning formula after yesterday's big grand final loss. The Saints were never really in the contest after the Pies dominated the first half to lead by 27 points at the main break. The onslaught continued in the second half as the minor premiers kicked away to their biggest ever winning margin in a grand final.
We need to tighten up our system. I think Collingwood have built on, in a sense, the team defence that we had in place in 2009.
For Collingwood players, coaches and fans, the win signalled the end of an agonising 20-year premiership drought.
Welcome back. Well, it's taken 2 decades and 3 missed grand final opportunities, but Collingwood has finally tasted premiership again after a 20-year drought. And not only did they win, it was a drubbing with a 56-point margin. Joining us from Melbourne is AFL legend Tom Harley. Morning to you, Tom.
Now, Andrew, how are you?
You'd have to, very well, thank you, sir. You'd have to say the best team won yesterday.
Yeah, without a doubt. Collingwood were the best team all year, and they showed that. And what we saw yesterday was the best of the best too. They played an absolutely fantastic game. Started well, didn't have the yips that everyone spoke about, which they had last week. You know, the draw was probably a good result because their younger players got the grand final experience. And their young players really, they all stood up. Scott Pendlebury was the Norm Smith medalist. Still Sidebottom, who was 19 years old, the youngest player on the field. He came runner-up in that award, and they just ran away with it, and they were definitely more than worthy winners.
Well, whilst anything can happen in grand finals, I guess it wasn't a massive surprise, but the margin, now that was a surprise, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably was. St Kilda are a side that never get blown away, and so to see 56 points was certainly un-St Kilda-like, but you just got the feeling that after the draw, St Kilda threw everything they had. They played their best football possible last week, and the younger, fresher side, which was Collingwood, just ran over the top. And it's, you know, once the hope's gone, the energy levels sort of drop as well, and it certainly looked that way, and it became a bit of a cakewalk, as the Collingwood's theme song suggests.
Yeah, what does this sort of demoralising end to the season mean for the Saints next year, do you think?
Look, it's going to be really hard for them next year. They almost drove their motto this year on the fact that they lost last year and they had that burning redemption factor going for them. They've now unfortunately played in 3 grand finals in 2 years and haven't got a result, so it's going to be really hard for them to bounce themselves back up off the canvas. Nick Riewoldt, their captain, is as good a leader going around. I'm sure he'll be driving that message, but they'll be feeling absolutely as flat this morning, and the next couple of weeks will really hurt because the Collingwood Army are out in force, and the St Kilda's players would be best advised to get out of Melbourne, I think.
Yes, it looks a bit that way, doesn't it? Or get down to the Circus nightclub on Commercial Road, where no doubt Molly is still commiserating.
Oh, he won't be too happy.
Just quickly before we go, did anyone have any idea that Eddie Maguire was such a crybaby?
Well, it's funny. There's a cheer squad member called Joffrey. He pulls out the gold jacket. That usually means Collingwood wins. But as someone said yesterday, when Eddie cries, tears of joy, you can probably pencil in they'll get the job done. So great day for Eddie. Couldn't be happier for him.
Indeed. If he was ever going to do it, that was the day. Thank you very much, Tom. Catch you later.
Collingwood supporters are expected to keep celebrating throughout the day after the Pies finally won the AFL Grand Final. It was all about the black and white last night following the Magpies' 56-point thrashing of St Kilda. It's the team's first Grand Final victory since 1990.
In sports, St Kilda coach Ross Lyon says his side needs to look at Collingwood's winning formula after yesterday's big grand final loss. The Saints were never really in the contest after Collingwood dominated the first half to lead by 27 points at the main break. It continued in the second half as the minor premiers kicked away to their biggest ever winning margin in a grand final.
We need to tighten up our system. I think Collingwood have built on, in a sense, the team defence that we had in place in 2009.
The Magpies players, coaches and fans, the win was sweet after losing 2 grand finals to Brisbane in 2002 and 2003.
Welcome back. Well, last weekend's AFL Grand Final might have been a draw, but there was no doubt in anyone's mind about the winner of yesterday's match. From start to finish, the Pies dominated the game, winning with a 56-point margin at the final siren. Joining us from Melbourne is AFL legend Tom Harley and Seven Sports reporter Michael Felgate's up and about. Good morning to you both. Tom, we'll start with you. Really, from the beginning of the game, there wasn't much doubt about who was the stronger team yesterday.
No, they started... In fact, it was a really interesting start to the game. Collingwood burst out of the blocks with a centre clearance and Travis Cloke got a mark literally about 3 metres from the goal line, but it got reversed with a bit of argy-bargy off the ball. But that just prevented the inevitable, really. Collingwood were far superior on the day. Went in with about a 4-goal lead at half-time and it blew out to 56 points. They were the best team all year, and the really great thing from a Collingwood point of view about yesterday's game was they played their best on the biggest stage. The young players all stood up. Scott Pendlebury won the Norm Smith medal. He's only 22, still side bottom. Won the Name of the Year earlier in the year, and now he's got a premiership medal as well. So he's had a pretty good 12 months. It was just a fantastic effort, and they're talking dynasties down there at Westpac Stadium.
Indeed, indeed. Now, Michael, Collingwood did play a blinder, but I think it was reasonably obvious to all who watched that St Kilda didn't really have the intensity that they brought to the game last week. What do you ascribe that to?
I think they came back from 4 goals down at half-time in a superb performance last week, and I think they were just physically exhausted. You could see their top players, Kazitsky, Lenny Hayes, who played so brilliantly and won the Norm Smith medal in the draw last week. They really just looked like they'd run out of petrol, and I think their bottom 5 or 6 players probably got exposed yesterday as they weren't quite up to the elite level that the entire Collingwood team were. It was a very even performance by the entire Collingwood side. Yesterday, the St Kilda Stars weren't up to their best and they weren't able to drag their lesser lights, so to speak, over the line. And I think, as Tom said, the best team on the day and the best team for the year were the deserved premiers.
Well, you're down at Collingwood now, Mr Felgate. What are the celebrations planned for today?
Yes, well, in a couple of hours' time, there will be thousands of Collingwood fanatics down here celebrating the win. The city, no doubt, will be black and white, and for those who don't support Collingwood, it is going to be a very long 12 months in Melbourne. They're having the team on stage at around about 11 o'clock for the family day, and there will be thousands upon thousands of people here. They, outside of Manchester United, the Collingwood Football Club worldwide, have the biggest attendance record. They average 71,000 fans per game at the MCG this year, so that'll give you some indication as to how many people will be in the streets of Melbourne with their Collingwood jumpers on today. It
was a good idea to start handing out free toothbrushes at the games, wasn't it? All right, thanks, Michael. Thank you, Tom. Catch you.